Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, hiya, I'm Camille. Thank you so much for coming to my little tiny pinpoint on the interwebs. I'm so excited to see my channel growing and my Instagram. Oh my God, I'm so daft. I should leave my Instagram. Probably if I want people to follow me and find me. Excuse me, retract that. There's no following. I'm not a cult leader joining me on my platforms. So, hi, I have ADD. I'm sure it doesn't show. And I process out loud. So this is me processing out loud. I am going to have to start leaving my Instagram link down there. Yeah, YouTube is my favorite place, but I do have a presence. I'm trying to create one on Instagram. So, hey, welcome. If you've never been here, hi, welcome. If you've been here before and you're coming back, thank you. Sure do appreciate it. And thank you for any comments and doing all the things that make the algorithm let people know, hey, people actually enjoy what this broad's talking about, so come join her. So tonight I want to do a video on not spiritual cleansing. Maybe I need to do one of those. On setting up an ancestor's altar. Now, the way that I'm going to speak about this tonight is going to be an accessible way for anybody, regardless of your level of spiritual prowess, shall we say, of your budget, of anything. Like, this is going to be something that's going to be very easily accessible regardless of your spiritual path. This is going to be something that's going to be accessible for everybody. So if you want to pause the video here, grab a pen and paper so that you can take notes on some items you might need. Any of the items I'm going to list, I'll give different options, but any of the items that I'm going to list are pretty easily accessible at a Dollar Tree, at a Walgreens, at a grocery store, and one or two that you might have to get from perhaps a spiritual store. So without further ado, look at me getting right into it at 2 minutes. If you're new here, trust me, that doesn't happen often. She's chatty. Okie doke. So some people call it a bóveda. Some people call it a mesa blanca, white table. You will be building a relationship with your ancestors, known or unknown. So again, this is just a very introductory, basic way. If you're a person who's in the religion, you know, you do what your godparent obviously instructs you to do and what's appropriate to your godparents' teachings and protocol in your house. For anyone who's not initiated, this is a way that you can access the energy of your ancestors. So we're also going to talk a little bit about it's asking, but it's also giving. We'll get into that in a minute. First things first, cleanse your space. Clean your space, meaning wherever you're going to put it. It could be a small table. It could be a shelf that you put on your wall. It could be an area on a countertop. It could be a coffee table or an end table. It could be on the top of your refrigerator, depending upon how high up it is. The best place to have an ancestor's altar set up is going to be a place where that has the energy that speaks to family, gathering, spending time, connection. So kitchens or living rooms are really the best areas I find for ancestors' altars, because traditionally that's where families used to gather. I mean, I don't even know if they have dining room tables, if real estate agents even offer, and your dining room table, because families don't really do that anymore. So families used to sit in the dining room, in the living room, in the den, in the kitchen, and sit down and commune with each other. So if we're pulling on the energy and also trying to acknowledge, pay respect, and feed into the energy of past generations, you want to go with bringing in the things that are associated with that kind of energy. So that's why those rooms are the best options. If you live in, or if you have shared space, there are other options and workarounds that you can do. I was going to say I'll talk about that later, but let me just go ahead and get that done now, lest I forget. I had a shared space at one point, and I had a housemate. So obviously we had our own separate bedrooms, common areas that we shared, kitchen, bathroom, living room. And to be honest, my spirits were not a fan. They were not a fan of her, but that's another story. So I was like, where do I put my sacred space when I have shared space, and ancestors' altars really shouldn't go in bedrooms? And what I did, with the guidance of the person I was working with, who's a spiritual elder at that time, I went to a wine store. What I saw in my head was a wine box. And I'm like, okay. And I saw a wine box, a wooden crate. And I had my housemate, she was very crafty, put power screw, and she put it on the wall for me. And I built my space there so that I could cover it or have it exposed depending upon what I was, whether I was home, whether I wasn't, etc. So, again, get creative with this. It does not have to cost a lot of money. Your currency is focus, respect, attention, and time. So you want to cleanse the space, clear the space out, clean it. So if it needs to be wiped down, a good thing to wipe it down with is vinegar. Another thing to wipe the table down with is ammonia. Anything, because those are also good for spiritual cleaning as well, spiritual cleansing as well as actual cleaning. So we've cleaned it in the physical. Now we're going to cleanse the space in the spiritual realm. You have so many options of what you can use. I couldn't find my sage for show and tell, but I have my Palo Santo. So you can light your Palo Santo. Why not light it for good measure here? Palo Santo is a very hard, well, it's hard. I know what it is on the scale. Feels like it's pretty hard wood, but it's a very slow burning. As you can see, it's taking time for this to want to catch fire. This was pine. Pine catches quickly. So you can burn Palo Santo. Cleanse your hands. Cleanse around your head space, your ori. Cleanse your body. So cleanse your physical self, cleanse your spirit, your energy field before you start to even do the work. Then cleanse the altar space, cleanse the area where you're going to have your altar space set up. Palo Santo is fantastic if you wanted to use sage, if that's appropriate for you. To use sage in your practice, you can use sage. You could light frankincense and myrrh. It could be stick incense, it could be resin. You have options. Dragon's blood, just make sure you have ventilation for two reasons. Because breathing is fun. Ventilation also to allow negative energy to have a place to escape, to get out. So, and also ventilation, seriously, especially if you're using dragon's blood, it's pretty intense. You really need to have a well-ventilated space for health reasons, breathing reasons, respiratory reasons. I have, which has obviously been out in the rain, my little iron cauldron. And so as long as you have a fire safe place, obviously, to put whatever you have that's burning. So if you have charcoal, you can use the charcoal discs for any of the resin incense. You can carry this around and waft it so that you're wafting the smoke, waving it with your hand, maybe a feather, to clean and cleanse the area spiritually. Speak your mind, say your intention, say the 23rd Psalm, a very powerful psalm for protection. Just speak and speak from your heart. I am blessing this sacred space to call in my ancestors, to create an environment that's warm and inviting, but that is spiritually cleansed, so that energies of higher vibrations, speak from your heart. You also, if you don't want to use a smoke as an incense, incense for cleansing, you can use, of course, Florida water. Spritz it. Now, this particular bottle style is a new style that I'm so excited that they've come out with. You can get your Florida water. If it's in the regular normal size bottles, put it in a spritz bottle, from a little baby spritz bottle from the Dollar Tree. Now you can keep it with you. You can spritz your area, but this is one of the quintessential things that we use for spiritual cleansing. Another awesome option is Cologne 1800. This comes in, off the top of my head, at least 2 or 3 different versions. It's got the sandalwood, it's got the regular schmegular version, and it has this, which has vetiver in it. Vetiver is an awesome energy. It's specific for certain spirits that you might want to call in. But vetiver is good for liminal space. It has energies of connecting, and that's what we're kind of creating, this liminal space between the physical plane and the spiritual plane, and creating this environment that is a portal, because essentially that's what any altar is, whether it's for your ancestors, whether it's for an Orisha, a Lawa, a Celtic goddess. An altar space is liminal space. It is creating, establishing, and consecrating a space that acts as the connection point between the physical world and the spirit world, where you're giving physicality to call in those spirits, so that they know this is the physical place I'd like to call in your energy, that you can also know is space that is just for you and will be honored and revered. So Cologne 1800 is something that I use quite often. They do make Palo Santo in a spiritual cologne, so you could use that in the same way that you would use any of the other liquids. So now we've cleansed the space. We've established where the place is, the location, created it, cleaned it, cleansed it. Now, traditionally, it's called a mesa blanca, white table. So traditionally in Espiritismo, it's kept in white. You'll put down a white cloth. If Espiritismo and ATRs is not in your practice, you put down the color cloth that you feel is appropriate. Go with your heart. Again, I'm just teaching you my traditions and the way that I do it. Unless you have a godparent and there's reglement, unless there's protocol, there's no wrong. Do what feels right in your heart. Do what you hear your spirits or your intuition leading you to do. So we use white. This can be as expensive or as inexpensive as you want it to be. You could use a white pillowcase that you already have in your linen closet. You could go to Dollar Tree. You could go to Williams-Sonoma and get a beautiful fine table linen. You could go on Amazon and get a white tea towel, and that's what this is. I have on my personal Mesa Blanca, I have an old cloth that was my father's from when he was in the US Navy many decades ago. So if you have something that belonged to someone in your family, that belonged to one of your ancestors that you can use, so it has that energy of them, of theirs, by all means, I think that's a great option. But if you don't, again, keep it simple, keep it moving. So again, this is just an example of a white tea towel. I think these come in like a pack of 6 on Amazon of white tea towels. So now you have your cloth. You lay that down on the table. Basically, all you need is these cleansing agents, your candle, glass of water, which we're about to get into, and your cloth. So now that we've got our table established, cleansed, we have the cloth laid down, candle, clarity and sight. So with your candles, you have options. I don't know where I put my chime candle. You can use a tea light. Never wrong. There's actually a really beautiful video by the artist Kalani, who is she is a priestess in Ocha, in Santeria. So she is, I don't know where I put my chime candle. If I find it, I'll show you guys what my chime candle looks like. I'm sorry, my table is out of control over here. I need to clean it. I've got tarot decks everywhere. So it doesn't matter, but in her video, she makes a beautiful, beautiful video. And it's literally, the song is called Altar. You can look at that and that'll give you a visual. Tea lights I find are wonderful and appropriate. Tea lights you can get on Amazon, you can get at the Dollar Tree. If you want one that's going to burn longer, I usually find nicer stores will have those, and Amazon you can look on and see. You can look on Amazon and they have the 2-hour, no, I think these are 4-hour. They have 4-hour tea lights, 6-hour and 8-hour tea lights, depending upon how long you want your light to stay aflame. I find the ones from the Dollar Tree usually are like an hour and a half. I mean, it's Dollar Tree. What do you want? So you can use tea lights. You could use a 7-day candle, one of the glass 7-day candles. It's funny, 7-day candles I've found in the past 4 years have turned into 5-day candles. But 7-day candles, if you're getting a 7-day candle from a Botanica, depending upon what city you live in, you might be able to find a 7-day candle at Walgreens. You know, if you live in an area where there are a lot of practitioners, so if you're in Chicago, Philly, New Orleans, DC, LA, San Francisco, if you're in a bigger city, Miami, you can find those there. If not, I'm sure you can find these online. But I will say, when you do, you want to look at the base of your candle and see this at the center. This is the base of where the wick, this is the base for the wick. So sometimes it's this circular base like this, which the wick is attached to. Sometimes it's a flat kind of square or rectangular piece, but you always want to flip your 7-day over to look at the base of it to see that you see that at the bottom of the glass, and that you see that it's in its entirety at the bottom of the glass. It's going to let you know that that candle is going to burn clean and properly, because when they poured the wax, it was poured properly. Little extra tip there. Before you use any of your tools though, you're going to consecrate and cleanse those. So using one of your spiritual colognes, using one of the incense or things that you're burning, you're going to cleanse any of your spiritual tools, period, any of them, a deck of cards, a candle, a cloth, whatever. Because you want to make sure that the energy is at a set point of 0 so that it's clean, so that when you're infusing your energy into it and you're calling your spirits, it's a nice, clean, energetic. Candles are like condensers, so you want to cleanse it. It's been on the shelf, it's been in transit. A UPS person, cleanse it first. So now you have your white candle and you have a glass of, I have to call my godmother. And you have a glass of water. I love how spirit works. Oh my God, I love it. So when you say a glass of water, Camille, what do you mean? I mean a glass. As long as it doesn't have any writing, a glass of water. Clear glass for this kind of an altar space is really what you want to go with. I got this wine glass from the Dollar Tree. I have one that is really pretty etched cut glass from the Dollar Tree, before it was $1.25 tree. Then I have this glass. These came from Amazon. I think they're called etched glass, shot glass. And I think they came in a pack of like 12 or 14 at a very reasonable price. I love these. I use these on different altars. I got this that I keep on this altar right here. I got this from a really cool thrift store that we have in the city. The spirit that this is her space over here, this matches her personality. This matches, and she guided me to get this. For this though, you do whatever. Now the reason why I kind of laughed a few minutes ago, and this is so perfect that I get to show you guys an example of something specific. And this is just a jam jar. I think you can maybe see that it has like etched fruit of cherries and grapes and peach and strawberries on it that I got, I think the same day I got that at the thrift store. And I was like, oh, that's just a pretty little jar. And so sometimes, usually this is like kind of become my glass that I oftentimes will drink out of, but you could use this just to show you that there's no wrong. The only thing is that you don't want anything that has writing on it for your glass of water. Water and candle. If you have anything else, water and candle. If you don't have the cloth, if you don't have the water and candle. Candle is light, it's illumination, it's shedding light in darkness, it's guidance, it's the nexus point between this world and the spirit world, it's clarity, it's a warm, inviting. I mean, just think about how beautiful candlelight is for us as living humans, as opposed to the ones who we're trying to call in, who are humans that are no longer in the physical life. So you want to have that candle for that reason. You want to have your glass of water because water is life. And even though these energies, these spirits don't have physical meat suit that they're encased in, their energy, matter can never be created nor destroyed. So we're calling in the life force essence of them, that is energy without physicality. And so water is a conduit for energy. You don't go swimming in a lightning storm. Why? Because water is a conduit and pulls energy into it. So you're going to have that candle. Water is life. Water is reflection. Water is in its own right a portal into other realms. So that's why those are the two most important things that you would have on this space. Doesn't matter what kind of vessel it's in, it's the water. Theoretically, you would want this water as close to the top as possible because I was going to be moving from my kitchen up here. I did not fill this to the top, but you want to have this water filled to the top. So with my altars that I will have water, and then I have a small pitcher that I'll put water, an old kettle with a swan neck spout where I can pour water into it to make it just to the top. And because of the surface tension, sometimes it's almost like this slight almost dome of water. You want to get it right to the top. If some spills out, that's fine. But what's really cool about this, godmother, guess what? I am what she calls a bubble watcher. If you do not see bubbles, let me reiterate, if you don't see bubbles, don't worry about it. It's not a problem at all if you don't see bubbles. At the same time, if you do see bubbles, it is an indication that spirit is very much active. So I want to reiterate that again because she's had to reiterate it to me many times. Just because you don't see bubbles does not mean that your spirits are not active, aware, alert, present, attentive, all the things. it means that they are giving you an indication in this physical realm of something happening with physicality that is a, hey girl, we're here. So it's so trippy. I only filled this, did a video reading for somebody. I filled this maybe 40 minutes ago. And can you see, I don't know if the camera is picking up the bubbles. Put on my readers and see. It's kind of hard because of the etched glass if it's picking up, but you might be able to see the rim around there of tiny bubbles in a glass. Oh, there we go. So if you've ever seen bubbles in a glass like this, it's oftentimes stagnant water that's been there for a few days or something that will happen to. This water was just put in here. So, thank you, spirits, thank you. So that is one physical indication that you may see in your glasses of water that let you know that spirit is giving you a physical nod to, we are here, we are present. The other thing that you might want to have, white flowers. So this is a bouquet I got for my ancestors' altar, and this bouquet is actually going to go on my ancestors' altar. It doesn't matter, whatever. They had daisies. That's what I got. A lot of times when they do have mums, I do tend to get mums. My mom loved spider mums, but mums last a long time, and mums have a connection to funerals and death, which is the backside because they're living organic matter. So they have a connection in their own energetic way to what the kind of energy that we're calling in, the energy of our deceased loved ones. Forgive me, guys. It's the end of my day and I've been talking all day. So whatever white flowers, it could be lilies, it could be roses, it could be baby's breath, it could be going outside if you have white clover that grows in a field and you can get that. If you pick flowers somewhere, I always like to leave like a little loose change, blow a kiss to say thank you to the spirits, thank you to nature, thank you to Mother Nature, thank you to the Fae that might be there, paying my respects. But white flowers, my mom loves lilies. I'm lucky that my cat doesn't jump up high on stuff. So if you have a cat, you might want to not use lilies, but whatever, tulips, it does not matter. It's keeping it simple and keeping it intentional. The other thing you can add is, which is a very good thing that you need to add, a cross, a crucifix, if you're going to be more traditional about this, that goes over the glass. So crucifix that would sit on top. I know someone who uses rosary beads and has the rosary beads come around and then drape down with the crucifix in front. Now, I can hear that somebody's probably saying, yeah, but what if I'm a witch and I want to have a pentacle? Again, because I am in Espiritismo, because I'm in an ATR, I do it that way. And for me, it's fine because I have so many Catholic ancestors, so many Catholic ancestors. So that is the way that we do it. If you are not in an ATR, if you don't have a godparent, if you don't have to follow any protocol, light and progress, you do what you feel is appropriate for you. So these are just some basic ways, but very meaningful. Speak from your heart light that candle and speak from your heart. If there's certain prayers you want to say, like if you want to recite something from the Bible, from Catholic prayers, if you want to say a Hail Mary, if you want to call in whatever, call in your spirits. It's with love, it's with focus and attention. And it's more important, and you will get so much more out of this if you do this once a day for 2 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day, as opposed to once a week for an hour. It really will make a big difference with the small consistency as opposed to one big chunk of time, but with lack of frequency or lack of consistency. You are paying respects to them. You are acknowledging them. You are calling them by name if you know them by name. If you don't know them by name, you are just saying a general thank you. Think about the struggles that they've been through. Think about your ancestry. So if you wanted to add additional things, you definitely could. If you wanted to add statues of any Catholic saints, if you wanted to put something that you know a loved one enjoyed or liked, you know, maybe your father liked trains and you might have a model train up there. Maybe your mom liked cardinals and you might have a coffee cup that's really hers with a cardinal on it. Meow. Whatever is something that's a nod to your ancestors. You can definitely feed your ancestors. You can definitely put libations. You could put liquor up there in an additional, but you still always need to have water. Make sure that that water stays clean. If you don't live in a hot, humid area, once a week will be fine. If you do live in a hot, humid area, once a week is probably going to be fine. As long as the water stays clear. You don't want it to get off and kind of murky or yucky. If you put like a shot of rum, a shot of whiskey up there, anything like that, wine, you just want to make sure that it doesn't get a film or get mold on it, because that will happen, especially if you live in a hot, humid environment, as opposed to a dry climate. So with this water, what I'm going to do with it, since it is giving me a very clear indication that just like that, the spirits are so present because I have these bubbles, I'm going to pour this into Kitty's dish, into Shushu's water fountain. I could easily pour it into one of my plants. So if you change your water at 7 days and it's still clear, you can do that. If you have to change your water and you're like, oh, it's 3 days in, it's still okay, but it's not the freshest, then you can still pour that into pet or plant dish or pour it into the earth. If you pour it down the sink, that's fine. But if you can, because it's got life in it from your spirits that you called in. Trying to think, is there anything else? If you leave food on the altar, you can put like just a small dish, a small saucer. I don't have one up here to show you, but just a small dish, a small saucer, a small little ramekin of something, a tiny half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of whatever it is that you're eating. If there's something that has the recipe and the love or the tradition or the heritage of whatever your ancestry is, and it does not matter what your ancestry is, those are still your ancestors. So you're paying respects to them. You're giving acknowledgement to them. You're speaking from your heart. You're telling them a little bit about your day. You're running through your gratitude list verbally with them. You're paying, I describe it as like the cell phone. Think of this as you're creating a phone. But if you want to be able to use the phone, you have to charge the phone up. So you're putting energy into this sacred space with the prayers, with the acknowledgement, with calling their name, with putting things that would attract their energy, with putting love and attention and focus into that space, into those sacred items. And you're charging that battery up, which means you can then ask for energy from them in the form of protection, dreams, synchronicities, of seeing things in nature or having messages sent to you help in your day-to-day experience in life, because ancestors want what's best for us. And sometimes people will say, well, what if I didn't like my ancestors? You're praying for the advancement in the spirit of the people that you didn't like. Definitely there are people in my family that are deceased that God rest them, I did not like. But I still pay respect to them. If they hadn't been through what they went through and created the life that led to the next generation, that led to the next generation, that got me here, I would not be able to be in this physical embodiment of who I am now here today. So you don't have to give them birthday cake and a parade, but it's praying for all ancestors and giving them that respect and time and attention so that your life, you can have a better experience in this physical plane, so that they can assist you with protection, physical, spiritual, psychological, to change and shift generational energy, to dismantle the blockages, to shift generational perpetuating negative energy and generational trauma, to bring in generational blessings and gifts. So that food, you probably want to leave that up there for 24 hours. If you have a compost, perfect. If you can put it outside in nature, perfect. If not, you can just dispose of it in the trash. But you want to consistently work this altar in this way. So I hope that this helps. I hope this answers questions that you might have. And I hope this makes you feel that this is accessible to anybody. I don't care what your heritage is, where your family comes from, how many different generations back, how many different ethnicities that might make up you. It's all in your DNA. And it's paying respects to those energies, those people, the struggles that they've been through, and giving them love and attention and respect. And what's interesting is I do find that if you have loved ones and you might go to the cemetery to visit them, there's going to come a point where you're going to go to the cemetery and you're going to feel a hollow, just absolute absence in the cemetery, because now their energy realizes, I am here in a home. I'm in a place where somebody is not just going to come once a year, on All Souls Day to visit me. I'm here, a part of the home of my descendant, of my loved one. If someone has a situation where they don't know their DNA family, where they don't know their birth parent or those generations, you can still use this to acknowledge the ancestors that are in your family and give them respect and love and pray for their ascension on the other side. That's what we're all doing, is praying for the ascension and the development of the spirit of these people, while also asking them for any assistance in our lives. So I hope this helps. And I hope that this gives you the confidence to start working with your ancestors, acknowledging them, respecting them, elevating them, and seeing how they will affect change and assist you in so many ways in your own spiritual path, but also in your own physical day-to-day existence. So blessings until the next video. Talk to you guys later.